Newsmax senior correspondent John Huddy is live in Tel Aviv with the latest details. John.
Yeah, well, Tom, kind of fueling the speculation about quote-unquote boots on the ground, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Thursday night in remarks to the press said that overthrowing Iran's regime will require a quote-unquote ground component, but the Prime Minister stopped short of saying what that would be and what the possibilities are. It's estimated, Tom, that Iran still has 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, enough to make really several crude nuclear bombs buried at the Isfahan nuclear site and facility buried underneath a mountain in Iran. And any ground operation, whether it's by the United States, Israel, or possibly both, would be a very dangerous and a massive operation. So there's just a lot of speculation. I'm not going to get into that about it. But Prime Minister Netanyahu also said Thursday Iran no longer has the ability to enrich uranium nor manufacture ballistic missiles. And while Iran's ballistic missile launching capabilities have been destroyed or severely degraded, last night and again this morning, Iran did fire another barrage of missiles at Israel. Israel's multi-layered missile defense system, including the Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, which we saw earlier this week. We saw one of the Arrow 2 batteries, have really intercepted the majority of incoming Iranian ballistic missiles. But many, as I've reported extensively, Tom, are now loaded with these cluster munitions that deploy, that are basically dispersed from the warheads of these missiles before they're intercepted. This week, several people were killed in Israel, 3 women in the West Bank, near the West Bank city of Hebron, from cluster bomb impacts. In fact, Tom, we were on the ground in Ramat Gan, which is just a city right outside of Tel Aviv. We were reporting about an elderly couple that was killed by a cluster bomb when it hit their apartment, when sirens went off, and then there was another cluster bomb impact on a building around the corner, destroying an apartment there. Fortunately, there were no injuries. But again, we're seeing the impacts of these cluster munitions that are being used frequently now on these warheads by the Iranians. And if that's not enough for you, Friday, there were fragments of an intercepted missile that came down in Jerusalem's Old City, only about 400 meters from the Temple Mount, one of the holiest, most revered sites in both Islam and Judaism as well. And as you mentioned, Tom, while President Trump talks about the U.S. considering winding down, quote-unquote, U.S. military operations in the Middle East and Iran, IDF officials that I've been talking to throughout the course of the last week tell me that Israel still has several thousand targets to strike in Iran, and that this war, this operation and military campaign will continue as long as necessary. Tom?
John, we know that going after the proxies is something that is also part of the larger strategy here, and Israel has been engaging with Hezbollah. Can you talk to us about the status of that operation?
Absolutely. So Hezbollah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Hezbollah has basically been coordinating attacks on northern Israel, central Israel, even Tel Aviv, along with Iran. So when we get these barrages from Iran, there's generally fire from, southern Lebanon, from Lebanon at northern Israel, central Israel, even in some cases the Tel Aviv region as well. Now, the IDF, and I spoke with IDF officials last week, the week before, confirmed to me that they have launched ground operations in southern Lebanon. Those operations have expanded and are pushing deeper into southern Lebanon past the Litani River, which is kind of a natural buffer zone. Basically, the IDF wants to push Hezbollah and Radwan forces and Hezbollah terrorists out of southern Lebanon, away from, at least 20 miles away from the border of northern Israel, so they can attack those communities. Those Radwan forces, Hezbollah terrorists, have already tried to launch October 7th style infiltrations in the north as this war, as this operation in Iran continues, Tom.
John Huddy in Tel Aviv. John, thank you for everything you're doing for us out there. Stay safe.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.